Hi students, this is Mrs. Smith. I am trying to organize what I'm doing with your slides, but let's see if I can figure this out as we go along. So this is your opera unit. We're going to explore one particular opera so that we can look at the different voice types as well as what it means to truly have a classical opera as far as plot and styles are concerned. So I'm going to see if it's going to let me put this in presentation view. So we'll see. We're going to present from the beginning. Oh, okay, good. So let's see. I'm going to move this little thing down here because I know it'll work this way. Okay, so Rigoletto by Giuseppe Verdi was in 1851. And what I'd like you to realize about opera is this. I know you've heard of a soap opera. A soap opera is a modern version of the opera. And the reason they are connected is simple. Opera was created by humanists. Remember, we had the group that was called the Florentine Camerata, and that group was made up of different types of artists and scientists and poets and novelists, and they all wanted to create a new way of enjoying a show or a story all set to music. And so they came up with this idea and called it opera. It was an incredible idea, and it's done some amazing works, but it's all done from a humanist point of view, which means they're not concerned with morals. They're not concerned with ethics. They are very much about things that are not virtuous. So as they are making their operas, they are creating things that have a lot of controversy from the beginning. So in many ways, it was a precursor to what you see on our regular evening TV drama series, all set to music. The way that it connects to soap opera is that soap operas were just as dramatic, with such and such person having an affair with such and such person, but that's not his baby, it's really the other guy's, and all of the things that we kind of see as high drama with those daytime soap operas like One Life to Live and Guiding Light and General Hospital, all the ones that my grandmother enjoys watching. So the reason it's called a soap opera is because some of the earliest commercials, companies that would sponsor those shows were the soap box companies. So they were soap. They would sell, like, I don't know, hand soap. And that's why they're called a soap opera. But they were never set to music. They just took that same idea of the plot, which was we don't have to be concerned with doing things in a virtuous manner. We don't have to live by a set of morals. We're going to push the boundaries and see what the consequences are for those morals. So that's the start of Rigoletto, because it's a very classically done opera in that style. Okay, so we're going to see if I can work this whole thing. Okay, so Questa Quella is the first song that you have already heard, and I've put a snippet of the video, just a little view here. Questa Quella is the opening song of Rigoletto, so it is the first piece of music we hear from this opera, and it's beautiful. And it's the opening song of the Duke. He is singing that I can have any woman I want. And of all people, he wants this pale face thing right here. But either way, he is singing that he can have any woman of his desires. And he is bragging, essentially, of how wonderful he is and how handsome he is. He's very full of himself. So he is flirting with this woman who looks absolutely terrified, but she is the object of his affection at the very moment. We'll find out who she is in just a second. She's a minor character, but it does set off a big piece of our plot. All right, so let's see. Oh, and the Duke is a high tenor. And this is very important because, remember, we're studying the voice types in opera. And the Duke is played by Luciano Pavarotti, as we have heard when he did a version from Barber of Seville for us with Largo al Factotum. Okay, now this is Rigoletto, the bigger guy, obviously. This guy is the puppet. Okay, so Rigoletto is the Duke's hunchback jester whose job is to make fun of the Duke's courtiers. So the people that are around the Duke Rigoletto's job is to totally bash them all the time, to make fun of them, to be sarcastic, to drive the courtiers crazy, but it's all to entertain the Duke. It's a terrible job, but he's really good at it. So he doesn't want this terrible job to backfire on his own life. So he does certain things to protect the people he loves. All right, so that is Rigoletto, our hunchback. All right, so this guy's a minor character, which is why I don't have a picture of him for you, but Count Monterone pays a visit to the Duke to express his displeasure because the Duke seduced his daughter. Well, you remember that picture a few screens ago? Maybe if we tab back, I don't know if it'll let me tab back. Let's see. Remember this lady right here? This is Count Monterone's daughter. So Count Monterone is very upset that the Duke would flirt with her and would mislead her. So Count Monterone comes to the Duke's court to say, I am really mad at you, and he sings his own little solo. Rigoletto, doing his job, makes fun of the Count Monterone, prompting the court to curse the Count, to curse the Duke, and especially to curse Rigoletto. So he enacts a curse and says, this curse is on your family, and it will kill your own someone you love because of the way the Duke has hurt my daughter and my family and shamed my family. So Rigoletto becomes very scared because this is Rigoletto's daughter. She's beautiful. She's a high soprano. She is pure. She is innocent. Rigoletto has hidden her away, and he hadn't even told her that he was her father. He was just kind of a patron that was helping to protect a young, beautiful woman. Apparently, this was something that just happens. And he does eventually tell her who he is when they have a duet. And that duet is the next song that you get to learn after we're finished with Questaquella. Okay, so Gilda is his daughter. She's beautiful. He doesn't want his job to affect Gilda because he is really nasty to these courtiers, and he doesn't want that to reflect on her. So when he goes to talk to her, because of the curse of Monterone, he is nervous about Gilda. So he goes to see her, which he never does, because he doesn't want to bring attention to her. He doesn't want anyone to know where she lives. But he couldn't help himself. He was nervous. So he goes to Gilda and says, Gilda, I have to tell you, you need to stay safe. Don't come out. And she says, why are you so sad, Dad? And can't figure it out. It turns out in the conversation that Gilda only goes to church. I only go to church. Dad, I'm doing everything right. I only go to church. But on the way to church, she has been eyeballing and flirting with this guy. Wouldn't you know, the guy happens to be the Duke. And this Duke is, of course, flirting back with Gilda because she's very beautiful. But Rigoletto's trying to make sure she's okay, so he says, okay, just only go to church. But here's the problem. So Filia Mia Padre is a duet between the two. And Rigoletto is a baritone, and, oh, I don't want to have him as a tenor. This is incorrect. Rigoletto is a baritone, and I will have to fix that slide. Okay, so Rigoletto is sad, and Gilda is the soprano, and they talk back and forth. All right, let's see. So the courtiers, the ones that Rigoletto makes fun of all the time, they follow Rigoletto and figure out who Gilda is, but they think it's Rigoletto's lover. So they are trying to mess with Rigoletto. I don't know that they would have done it if they knew it was his daughter, but they are just going to mess with him. So in order to get back at Rigoletto, who always makes fun of them, who humiliates them on a daily basis, they decide to kidnap Gilda. So they take his daughter, who they don't know is his daughter, they think it's his girlfriend. They take Gilda and deliver her to the Duke. The Duke likes Gilda. You can imagine where this goes. It's not going to be virtuous. So Gilda is taken, and Rigoletto finds out. So Rigoletto begs for her to be released. The courtiers refuse. So Rigoletto goes down his own path and says, okay, I'm going to take care of this myself. So Rigoletto hires a man called Sparafucilli. And Sparafucilli is a bad guy. Doesn't he look like a bad guy here? Woo, not a good guy. To kill the Duke. Okay? So Rigoletto hires him. Well, Sparafacilli, in good bad guy fashion, owns a bar, a tavern. So he asks Sparafacilli to lure the Duke to his tavern where they can kill the Duke and work out their plot. Sparafacilli agrees, but he has someone in his own home that disagrees. But we'll see what happens. All right, so Sparafacilli has a sister, and his sister's name is Maddalena. And Maddalena is very beautiful, which Rigoletto knows she is beautiful, and he decides to ask Sparafacilli to kill the Duke because when they lure the Duke to the tavern, he knows that the Duke will follow that beautiful Maddalena. So they lure him to the tavern, and they are going to keep him there. And then they are supposed to kill the Duke at the tavern after they get him drunk. And then they're going to wrap his body in a rug and drop him through a trapdoor down to the waiting Rigoletto, who will be victorious and will dump his body out in the river. So you can imagine this probably doesn't go the way they plan. La Donna e Mobile is a song you probably would recognize. La Donna e Mobile, bum, 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 ba-da-da. And it once again is the Duke, and he is flirting with Maddalena, but for some reason he decides that in flirting with her, it's okay to say that women are fickle, that they change their mind. So I don't know what he means by that, except that he is making great strides to flirt with Maddalena, which was the entire goal, so that he would stay there and get drunk, and then Sparafacilli would kill him. One little problem in the plot. Maddalena falls in love very quickly with the Duke, doesn't everyone? And she and the Duke are having a flirting conversation. And outside of the window are Rigoletto and Gilda having their own conversation of Rigoletto trying to convince Gilda, I know you think you love this Duke, but he is a cheater. He is not loyal to you. He doesn't love you the way you think he loves you. He is just leading you on because he is a scumbag. And so we have the conversation going on inside with Maddalena and the Duke, and Maddalena is an alto, and the Duke is a tenor. And then outside the window, you have the baritone and the soprano. But all four of these voices come together. Even though it's two separate conversations, it will be in one song, Bella Filia dell'Amore. So we need to be able to recognize all four of those voice types within that one piece of music. So this is where our plot finishes out. Let me move myself down here. Okay, so Gilda. So after the conversation, Gilda does hear that the Duke is flirting with Maddalena. So Rigoletto says, just go home. Don't mess with the Duke. Dress as a man so that you can walk home by yourself and I don't have to worry that someone will take you. Which sounds reasonable because Gilda is beautiful. So she dresses as a man to walk home, but she loves the Duke too much. She decides to not go home. Instead, she stops by the tavern and overhears Rigoletto and Sparafacilli planning to kill the Duke, which makes Gilda very upset. But she doesn't hear the part. No, she does. I'm sorry, she does hear the part. Maddalena convinces Sparafacilli to not kill the Duke because Maddalena likes the Duke, but instead to kill the next man who comes in the door. So Gilda decides to sacrifice herself to save the Duke. Now, why, oh why, Gilda, would you not just push the next dude through the door before you? Because then it wouldn't be so dramatic, I guess. So Gilda decides to sacrifice herself to save the Duke. She walks into the tavern. Oops, sorry. She is stabbed, but she doesn't die. She is dying. They roll her into the rug, and then they drop her through a trapdoor down to the boat of Rigoletto, who is supposed to take the body out to sea or out to the water and dispose of the body. The problem is he is rowing away, and he is gloating, and he is so happy that he has killed the Duke. The problem is he hears the Duke singing in the tavern. So that's not the Duke in the rug, in his boat. He uncovers his own stabbed daughter, Gilda. They sing a mournful duet. Gilda dies, and the curse that Count Monterone had spoken over Rigoletto and the Duke has come true, except somehow the Duke is still alive. And the good guy does not win. So then you have to have the internal debate. Is Rigoletto a good guy for wanting to have a man stabbed to death? I don't know. So that is the drama that is Rigoletto, and it gives you a very good picture of why we don't necessarily watch our operas, because there's too much lasciviousness in it, too much flirting, too much taking flirting too far, loose morals, drinking, stabbing, plotting, murder for hire, you know. But that is our story, Rigoletto. So, hope you enjoyed it.